I'm also part of the security team, and I wrote some. I commented some of the contrib modules relating to RDF and structured data. I also participated in the definitive guide to Drupal 7. I wrote a couple of chapters, and as of very recent, I was also brought on board to update the Using Drupal book to Drupal 8. So watch for the release in a few months, I guess, or several months later this year. So today we'll talk about SEO. So what is SEO? Usually SEO means search engine optimization. But I think personally that the old SEO is dead, and I like to think of it more as a search experience optimization. So what do I mean by that? So I want to do a quick demo. So this is using my phone, and maybe most of you know there's an app called Google Now, and I can ask questions, and it can give me answers. So, when was Barack Obama born?
Barack Obama's date of birth is August 4th, 1961.
So I can ask general questions about the world like this. What's my calendar like for this weekend?
Here are the events you requested.
And so it's showing me my calendar.
Entry on April 13th.
It's showing me my calendar with all my events for tomorrow or for this weekend, whichever date I want. So it can also show you the weather and things like that. So it's becoming more interesting than the old-fashioned way of just searching and typing your keywords. Instead, you can talk to your phone, and there are other ways as well where search engines are shifting towards more interactive interfaces like this one, where when you type a keyword and it's ambiguous, it might ask you to clarify what you mean. So search engines are getting smarter, and they understand that a word has a meaning behind it, and it can associate words to real world entities. So direct answers, so instead of presenting you with web pages and waiting for you to go through all of them, it can sometimes give you the straight answer, like when I asked for a date of birth of someone. Google can also show you listings, so if you search for something general like events, in a particular location it will show you an array of events, and you can see what's available for the weekend or for a particular date. So entity summary, so this is diving into a particular entity you're interested in to learn about someone or a location or a country. Google knows about a lot of things, and because it's been crawling the web, and it can show you that more information straight off the search result page. It's on the right hand side, and without you having to go too far into the pages. And obviously you can click on those links to find out more. And then there's also the Rich Snippets. So those have been pretty popular in the last few years. It's when the search result page, each result has a more attractive look. It contains more information than just some words, but it has like an image. If it's a recipe, it might include the affiliation and the job title of a person, for example, or the ratings for a product and the price, etc. So these are important because usually they drive more traffic. They are more attractive, so they drive more clicks, more traffic to your website. And other search engines are also kind of doing similar efforts. Not, in my opinion, not as good as Google. So this Yahoo, this Bing, but they're not as innovative as Google, I think. So how does it work behind the scenes? How does Google know about all those entities, and how can it respond to your queries? So Google has some knowledge base called Knowledge Graph. It's run internally at Google, and that's what's being queried when you do a search on Google. So it's very fast, obviously, and it's the search engine interface makes it really easy to use. It's just type a bunch of keywords, and the ranking and all the display is pretty intuitive, and it knows about a lot of things, a lot of different things like places, celebrities, facts about movies and cities, and you can combine all of those things. So there's a famous saying, which is things and not strings. So Google thinks of the world and thinks of the data that it finds on the web as entities, not just plain strings. So when it crawls the web, when it extracts keywords from the pages, it tries to map it to real world entities. And they have a algorithm called Hummingbird that was released 1 or 2 years ago, and that was the largest update since 2001. So that was a pretty major shift, which happened a couple of years ago. So this is how the knowledge graph kind of views the world. So each entity, each real world entity has attributes like a location and a height, or if it's an animal, it can have a scientific name, the weight, etc. And then all of these entities are connected to each other to form a graph. So you can take a person with all the attributes, like a name and date of birth, and link it to, say, a location, because that person founded the city or was born there. And again, that city itself also has some attributes. And so all of this information is connected together in this massive database called knowledge graph. So this is what you end up with, like lots of entities connected to each other, millions of entities. So in this case, what we know of the knowledge graph, so the knowledge graph is, it's a private tool at Google, but we still know some facts, or at least what's public about it. It has close to 600 million real-world objects in it. So those are like things from the real world, and 18 billion facts and relationships. So those are all the links between those objects. And it's built from content gathered from the web and possibly other sources that we don't know about. One interesting fact is that Google acquired a startup or a company, I guess, in 2010 called Freebase. And what Freebase was doing was basically collecting all the facts from the web, doing something similar to Wikipedia, but doing it in a more curated way. So it had staff, it was paying staff to go through all the content and verify that the content was accurate, and all of that was going into a database, which Wikipedia didn't have. So Freebase was this massive database of knowledge about the world. That was acquired by Google. So that shows the interest of Google to go in that direction, to build this massive database about the world's information. There's also Wikipedia, and there are got more videos, links at the bottom if you want to watch them later. So what about Drupal in all this? So I guess we're lucky to be part of this community of open source software where we run a lot of the websites of the web. We run more than 2 million sites, 2% of the web. And what's interesting about Drupal is that it runs a lot of kind of various sites. Some of the sites are like government sites, some of the sites are news, media, commerce, entertainment, all kinds of websites. And this is the kind of wide array of scenarios that Google is interested in learning and crawling. So we can help Google in understanding the data that we publish in our Drupal sites. So the data that lives in Drupal in your database is structured, and for those of you who know, entities like nodes, users, comments, and then the fields that are attached to all of those. So all of those are structured data inside the database, but they're not necessarily, the structure is not necessarily published freely in HTML. So the goal of this technology or this movement is to make that structured data visible to search engines, mostly via the HTML that you publish on your site, to achieve all those great use cases, great demos that I showed earlier for Google. So that's what I mean. So how can we make it easier for search engines to extract data from web pages. So the old way, Drupal would just publish HTML, and it would be up to the web crawler to extract the title from the page and to understand that this string is the author and this date is, I don't know, it could be the author's date of birth, or it could be the date the article was published, or it could be the date of an event. Who knows? As a site builder, you know, but when you publish your HTML, it's not clear to a machine that would come and crawl the site. So I've got a video here to show, and do we have audio? I should have thought of that. Otherwise, we can just play it off here. Oh, wait. Is it? Okay. Otherwise, I can play it from a machine.
It should be working.
Alright, it's okay, I'll just play it from a machine. Hopefully people can hear. Alright.
You know what drives me crazy about words? They have a million different meanings. Like, check this out. Someone says, I love Boston. Now, they probably mean I love Boston, the big city in Massachusetts, but they could be referring to one of the 26 other Bostons that are scattered around the globe. But if it's during the playoffs, they're probably referring to the Celtics. Of course, you and I both hope they're talking about the Boston. You know. But I guess there's really no way of knowing. The problem is that the same word can mean so many different things. Because of that, when it comes to finding, linking, reconciling, or organizing multiple layers of information, words are not the best solution. The guys at grocery stores figured this out back in the 60s when they started putting barcodes on everything, so that products with the same name wouldn't get confused. So how come on the web, so many sites still try to organize stuff with words? Say you're a product guy at a big music site, and you want to pull in feeds of lyrics and videos and photos from all of your data suppliers. But everyone uses different names for things, and a lot of the feeds don't even match up, so you've got to reconcile them and pull in updates and deal with merges and deletes and splits. It's a nightmare. But what if there was a better way?
So, and basically the better way is what I'm presenting today. Playing Drupal, or helping Drupal to make this obvious for search engines that what a string means when you publish it in your web page. And so we have tools for that. It's not, I don't think it's complete yet, but it's a work in progress, and you can do already cool things with it. And there's always more work to be done and more work in the pipeline, and I can tell you about that at the end. So I think the main tool for that, the main tool to express your structured data on your website is a tool called schema.org. It's a standard that was created by the major search engines in 2011. So Google, Yahoo, Bing, and the Russian search engines called Yandex got together, and they started to build this general dictionary of types and properties that most things that you publish on the web should have or should be expected to have. So there's like more than 400 types, like from books to recipes to event to people's description, and you can express those using multiple formats, like in HTML. There's a few formats like RDFA or microdata, and there's also another one in JSON. If you publish JSON, you can also do that. So this is how it works. Each type has a page, a description page on schema.org. This is an event, for example. Oops. And here is a list of properties that you're invited to have for your events. These are just properties that make sense and properties that search engines will most likely look for to understand an event. Things like duration, end date, location, maybe performers, if that makes sense, and the start date. That's also very, very important. So those are like, think of it as kind of templates or description, helping you to decide what should your events include as kind of information. So how does it apply to Drupal? So in Drupal we have content types like articles or event, and then in each of these we have fields like the title, author, and for an event we'll have a date, the location. And this is how it looks when, from an author's perspective. Each of the fields is a form element to fill in, and the whole form will create a node of particular type, like an event or a news article. And there's more fields to fill in, and this is typically the work that you do already every day. So there should be no change really from your end. And this is what you get. Like I said earlier, it's like an HTML page that Drupal is very good at publishing and rendering for you with, this layout and stuff. You can build the layout that you want with one button again. With the body in the middle, then you can have some of the content on the right. But how do you tell Drupal to add something to this to say that, oh, this is the body field, this is coming from the body field, and this is the headline, this is the title, this is the date it was published, this is the author. How to make that obvious in the HTML? So you don't have to go and write HTML. As usual, Drupal provides you with all the tools and all the interfaces to set that up. So what you do is when you create your content type, or even on an existing content type, it doesn't matter, you can edit your content type, and you probably recognize those vertical tabs from Drupal 7. So there's a new vertical tab when you install a module called schema.org, and the URL is at the bottom here. So it shows you a autocomplete list of types from schema.org, so you can type in your type if it's an event or something like that, or a news article. So you type in and you select that, you save. And then the second step is for each field, you do the same step, same exercise, which is, again, you take your normal field form, and at the bottom there's going to be a same kind of autocomplete, this time with a list of properties. And if it's say a location field, you type in the location, it's going to pop up a list of options, select location, and basically you match that from what you saw on the schema or on the red page earlier, on definition of event. And then you save that, and then you're good to go. So then what happens is the field rendering system and the whole theme layer will take care of adding the right markup for you behind the scenes to your markup, to each field, and to each field wrapper. So for example, here we have an address. There's a module for that, the address field module, which has schema.org integration. So the type of property and also the property attribute here will be added. Those are coming from schema.org, and you can see the schema column here in front of each of those. So this is the street, the city, the state, the zip code, the country. So normally the red pieces wouldn't be there, but the schema.org module takes care of adding those for you. So all you have to do is just select a few options in your interface, and then that will get added to your HTML. And when search engines come to your site, they can understand that. So here are some examples taken from live search results on Google. This is a person, Brian House. He's a colleague of mine at Acquia, and on Acquia.com we have the schema.org module, and everyone has filled in their their job title at Acquia, so it shows up here in the result straight away. So it makes it more attractive. It makes it more clean, more like clean results compared to LinkedIn or some About Me page that doesn't have any rich snippet. So there's also, this result shows up first. I don't know if Google uses the fact that there's semantic data to improve the ranking of your site, but in this case, it seems to help a little bit. I mean, surely, if Google can understand from your page that it's exactly what the user is looking for, and it matches what they typed here, it can only help to have that, and it can only improve your ranking. So, why not? Some example for events. So this is a definitive guide, the site for the definitive guidebook, and we have some events there. These are supposedly events where some of us will be, if you wanted to meet us. And again, we have markup. We use schema.org for all those events, and Google understands that those are events, and they are formatted. And they even take more space in the search results page. Typically, search results have like 2 lines of text. Here we have 2 lines plus the event. So again, more attractive, taking more real estate on the search results. So can only bring more traffic. Then recipe here. This is actually a test site that I use for doing my research and developing this module, and it turns out that it's also indexed by Google. So, and here is another example. It works with like all languages. This is a German site that runs Drupal, and it has the schema.org module with the ratings enabled. So again, Google can understand that and display it right away. So again, it makes it for more attractive search results. Yeah.
If there are 10 fields on your node that you mapped to things on schema.org,
Yeah.
how does the search engine know which 2 to show? Can you weight it or
So
set priority?
yeah, so the question is, if I have 10 fields on my node, on my content type, and I have all of them are mapped to something on schema.org, how do search engines know which ones to pick and show? The answer is very simple. If you go to the webmaster documentation on Google, they'll tell you what field they will display in the Rich Snippet, and it depends on the type of content that you publish. So in this case, this is a news article. I believe it's in German. I'm not sure actually, but it has ratings on it. So Google decided to display the ratings. But for things like recipe, I actually only have the minutes on my recipe, but it can also show the ratings. I just don't have the ratings on this one, but it would show the ratings as well.
So you don't get to control it.
No, you don't get to control the layout or what information is displayed. It just depends on the type of content it is. If it's an event, then it's going to show what's relevant for an event, which is the date and the location. Sometimes, so if this is an event listing, so it's like several events on the same page. If you search for just one event, it would show the date and the location. And for people, again, it doesn't show a picture, but it shows the job title and the affiliation. So it purely depends on the type. Yeah.
So it seems to me that if Drupal uses schema and other systems, content management systems don't, all things being equal, the Drupal website would rank higher.
Yeah, that's correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have only advantages at using this on your site. And just Drupal makes it easier because it's built in. I mean, Drupal 7 doesn't have it, has some of it built in. Drupal 8 has more of it built in core. And the goal is just to make Drupal the best platform. So. Right. So I want to talk about some of the new features in Drupal 8 very quickly. Drupal 8 core has new fields such as link, phone, date, email, entity reference. So those were contrib modules in Drupal 7. Now they're all in core, and we have schema.org integration in core for all of those. So that means more reasons to use Drupal, and in particular Drupal 8, if you can, because you have all of that for free in Drupal 8. Although you still need a mapping tool, which I can show you later. So that's new in Drupal 8. And so some more about the use cases. This is more. Some of it is more like long-term vision. Some of it is actually taken from different sources. Like this is from Google. This is an artist on Google, and it has. So I told you earlier there was like the entity summary that appears on the right for some well-known entities, and in the case of artists, they also have their upcoming events, and this is pulled from their official website. And if their official website has the right markup for the events, then Google has a very easy time to just understand that and show them it right there. So those slides are actually taken from Rich's keynote. I forget which con it was, but so Drupal 8 can create semantic content. So you just fill in the form. You put in the name of your event, the date, the location, and the image. And if you have the right mapping set up, then your node becomes a schema.org entity. And then it can be branded, so Google can brand it, or some other tool can brand it, because each part of the information has a meaning. So you can tell, oh, I want to put the location right here, the date on the right, and I want to theme it that way. I want to make it look gray or whatever. Then you also have the side effect of having search engines understand the events, and you can make it contextual. So if you go to, depending on the site of the language that you have on your Google, if you go to google.fr or google.e, it can be translated as well. In particular, the date can be translated for an event.
And here it's choosing the date for the performance in Chile.
So the date, it's the date of that event it's in Boston, so it's in English, but this one is at a different date in Chile, and it's translated to be.
It's not just translating the language, but it can see that the date.
Yeah, the date has
goes with
changed
that
as well.
city, and- yeah.
Tiago.
Oh, there might be a typo there. That's what's fun. And there's also multi-channel delivery. So depending on the medium that you're broadcasting your data, you might want to have a different layout, a different look, but knowing what kind of data you're dealing with makes it easier to publish nicer results. So Drupal Commerce also has, or rather the modules that Drupal Commerce uses, also have been enabled with schema.org. So for example, if you have a camera, you can mark up the price of the camera and the title, obviously, and also the quantity, and that's useful for, again, coming back to Google. Google Shopping can display all the prices from different stores and put you into competition with other stores if that's what you want. If you can compete on the prices.
Does that only work if you pay Google?
I believe it works regardless. I don't think you have to pay. But
That's a sponsor at the very top there, but it's listing a bunch of different.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if those
Stores.
all had to pay. That's a
Stores all
good
have to
question.
pay.
But yeah.
It varies.
And so this is the module that you can install on top of Drupal Commerce. It's called Good Relations for Drupal Commerce, and it's supposed to be a drop-in module, so there's no setup. You just install it, and it should pick up whatever fields you have and add the right markup for the price and the ratings. Right, and that's the end of the session. If you have questions, I have one or two demos after that, but take questions now.
So where does the schema markup and like say meta tag data, where do they overlap and where do they not? Because like Google uses both.
You're talking about the meta tag in the head.
Yeah, like you have like meta tag data.
So this is what I consider the old school SEO, like with the keywords and that kind of stuff, right? In the head. I'm not sure. I think depending on who you talk to, old school SEO people might still recommend to do that, but I haven't seen it recommended in the latest documentation of Google. I mean, what Google recommends now is just using schema.org because it just makes sense. It annotates what's visible to the end user, and there's less room for cheating because you just whatever you're presenting to the end user is what search engines should be consuming as well.
Presumably
So-
they have, the description meta tag would still be useful because that's for a whole page, not just the little pieces that the schema.
I mean, if you don't have a description on the page,
It'll use it.
I guess yes, it would make sense. But I think you're still encouraged to have some kind of description just for the visitor coming to the page, right? It makes sense to explain what you're doing there or what.
Yeah, but it could be.
Like if it's a
you know,
news article, then the description is the news article. I mean the body itself or
but
the
you could
headline.
want to craft your own
Yeah.
short summary.
Summer.
Yeah,
There
I
are
mean,
lots of
they are
pages
still.
in the
You can
text.
still do that. I can't really tell you. I don't know how much of how much of it a search engine will pick up, but it's still possible. The modules are there.
Earlier in your presentation, you mentioned a database that's been collecting all of this. And then you went on to basically how are you adding stuff from your
Right.
site to that database? What if I want to bring in extra information? So I've created a piece of content about an artist, but I don't know everything. Is there a way for me to query that database
Yeah.
that has all that information and display it on the website?
So-
I'm not writing all my own content, I'm borrowing it.
Yeah,
from
that's
other
great.
places.
That's very good. This is more like it's not yet available. I mean, there are APIs you can query to get that information, but I don't know of a very well known module that does that for free, like automatically for you. Although I know some people are working on that, and I have, I have a student that I worked with last year for Google Summer of Code, who applied for this year again for another Google Summer of Code. And so her proposal is to have a tool like that could pull. First of all, as a when you build your site or when you write your content, you would just annotate and say this is this person is that person from Wikipedia, and then it would bring in more data from that, from Wikipedia, from Freebase, and you could display that along with your page. So it's just there's nothing available right now
It's
for
not
that.
possible for you to crawl around.
But you could write the code for doing it. Yeah. And they are more. So Google is putting more and more resources to building a new tool actually called Wikidata. It's like the database that runs Wikipedia. So Wikipedia right now is like a bunch of wiki pages, right? You go in and just edit the page. But what Wikidata is about is taking all the data that lives in wiki pages and bringing it into a big database that Wikipedia would query to compose their Wikipedia pages of today. And so obviously that database would be open and free, and so anyone could query it. So that's called Wikidata, and Google is putting a lot of money and resources into that, into building that.
Is it
So
part of Wikipedia though, or is it?
it's part of
Google's?
Wikimedia, the foundation. Yeah. So they are funding it as well. So it is more coming. That's what I'm presenting here is more like what you can do today, but it's more in the pipe.
Is there a way, say I've got a website, it's behind a paywall, the login to see anything, and I've got content on people, and then my buddy has another website behind a paywall as well, with content on, I don't know, art. Yet some of my people actually have art in that person's website, and I want, if we both are using schema.org, is there a way to open up the communication where that person's website can query what I've got and say, oh, here's some more information. Why don't you sign up and account for that? I'll go
Yeah.
there and learn
So
more.
the question is, if you have two private sites that are both using schema.org in their own ways, are there ways to share content behind the scenes, still in private though?
Yes.
So for that, you'd have to run your own database. And actually you have a module for that. It's called RDF Indexer in Contextual. So you could essentially index, or both sites would index their data into, well, obviously it would live in their Drupal database, but they would also mirror the content into this other store that is for structured data, and then they could pull in the data from the other site that way, and that store would still be in the private space somewhere, behind a firewall or whatever. But you could feasibly do that. There was actually a news recently that Nature, I think it was Nature Publishing, that published all of their data about the journals and the publications and the authors that they've published. They've released that as a linked open data set, so it can be downloaded online. So more and more companies are releasing their data, making it open, and open data is released in the RDF format as what we call linked open data. So it's linking to other data sets as well. If that makes sense.
So schema.org has an idea of like entity types, right? So you have like an event, which then has fields, or you have like a product, which has certain
Right.
fields, or like a recipe. How flexible is it for mixing and matching those on your site? So say you have a product that's like a food product, so it has nutritional information that might be considered part of the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Does it lend itself to doing that sort of thing?
Sometimes, I mean, you can search, if you go to schema.org, oops.
Depending on the entity, sometimes some of them have fields that are other entities. Yes, but it just depends.
So what you can do is you can just go in and search for like nutrition or whatever on schema.org, and you find nutrition information is actually not tied to anything in particular. It's not tied to recipe or whatever. So you could use it on pretty much anything. Here the example is about a recipe, but you could
You would attach the nutrition information as a property of your recipe?
of your recipe or of your product,
Or product.
like medication or whatever.
Yeah.
There's even a whole bunch of, like, some parts of this schema.org is about medication, I believe, let's see, drug. So you have a whole part of schema.org is dedicated to drugs, and I don't know if they don't have anything specific about nutrition, but they have,
Well, so yeah,
adverse
say, like,
outcomes.
A drug, or like say I make cough syrup, so that's a drug, so I have drug information. But then I want product information as well. Will, I mean, you may not know the answer, but will Google pick up that it's both of those types of products? Or do I have to somehow like structure my data?
As long as they're on the same page, I assume.
Yeah, you could definitely publish them, or like make the types of like being both. I don't know what Google would think of it, but
Presumably they would try to figure out what the person was searching for and show
Yeah,
them product
sure.
information versus
yeah,
ingredient
that's.
information.
I mean,
They-
even at Google, they haven't finished tapping into this whole structured data. They're just starting. So, the examples I showed are just like a few of like. Well, it's maybe there's more in the work, and they are always developing more products, and some of them we don't even know about. Some of it is just behind the scenes to help the ranking, or some of them are more something like that. So yeah, definitely there's no. I mean, schema.org is really recommendation, but you're free to do whatever you want, and Google will take what you give them and do what it can with it. Okay. So there's something I wanted to show you. This is the project that my Google Summer of Code student did last year, and this is the Drupal 8 module for mapping your content types and fields to schema.org. Essentially, it's the next generation. I showed you the schema.org tool with the drop down in some of the websites. So this is the Drupal 8 version. We just created a brand new module for that, but it's essentially the same idea. So some screenshots here. So they are actually more features. So it's funny because when we worked on this module last summer, we ended up developing more features than what's available in Drupal 7 today. So the Drupal 8 version of that mapping module in Contrib is more feature-rich than the Drupal 7 version of it. So one of the things, for example, you can do is, say you start from an empty site. You just install Drupal. It has an article and basic page, and that's it. Imagine you want to create an event content type. There's an option in the module where you can go and choose a type from schema.org. Say you pick event, and it will go and look for all the properties of event on schema.org, and you just select the ones you want, and it will create all the fields.
Content type.
Right, it will create a content type and all the fields that you
and
chose
map it in.
and map them, and you have your content type created.
Wow.
So like maybe 80% of your work is done, and you know that those are the fields that search engines are looking for. So let's see. So this is an example. So you chose. I'm not sure which type it was, but this is just to show you like the you pick a type on schema.org, and then these are all the properties that come with that type. You select the ones you want, and then you choose the field type you want for them, and then you save, and then it just creates a component for you.
Odds that it'll be back
If we have time, maybe yeah, but it's
No.
it's a
Well,
lot of it.
I heard no.
A lot of it is Drupal 8 has more features, so I think, and new sites, I guess, in 6 months or a year will be more likely done in Drupal 8 than Drupal 7.
Yeah, in a year.
So, and I guess for a student, it's more rewarding to work in Drupal 8 because it has all the latest APIs and all that. So, it makes it more attractive. Yeah, and this year her proposal is about having more. How do you call it? Like when you go in your wizard editor, you can select a string and you can say which place in the world. If you have something ambiguous and you want to link it to some entity from Freebase, you can do that using the tool that she's proposing to build. So, yeah, Michelle.
Is there I don't think Core would do it, but is there an add-on search module that searches for things and not strings? So if you're looking for your cough syrup, that's both a product and a medical thing. It knows the context of what you're thinking and will change the display of the search result based on that.
Oh, in your search on your site?
Within the site.
Yes, I actually presented on that at Batcamp with Nick Vinhoff a while back, and it's in my slides. This is not. It's too small of a screen, I think. Okay. It's Batcamp. And it was, definitely something that we worked on where, I don't know if it's, So this is Drupal. So we had to backtrack a little bit. The presentation, or like the second part of the presentation was about how can we have, so we talked about rich snippets on Google, can we have them as well on our site? And Yes, we can. So this is a Drupal site, and so we developed this plugin for search, Solar Search to know, depending on the type of result, to show something different. So if it's a recipe, it shows the picture and the cooking time, and it also had the capability of doing that from different sites. So you could index data from different sites and have search results on one site pulling results from different sites, because it's Solar, so it doesn't matter where it came from. And so in this example, this is a recipe, so it's got a picture and a cooking time. This is an event, so it's got the date and the location. So this is the exact, we basically copied what Google would show, but this is in Drupal.
Cool, thank you.
So it's called the Rich Snippet module. So yeah.
Are microformats just sort of subsumed into the schema.org?
So there's a long history of like different formats to do that in HTML. Microformats was one of the first formats. Google has actually started to move away from that now. They don't include it. They don't include them in their documentation anymore. So they only include RDFA, another one called microdata, and then JSON-LD if you want to publish JSON. And RDFA is the one that Drupal uses, Drupal 7 and Drupal 8. So yeah, I guess really strictly from a user or like a site builder perspective, you don't actually have to work at that low level, because the modules do the work for you in terms of markup. Although if you were, hardcore developer, you could go in and write your own markup if you wanted to. Most of the time, we try to make it kind of seamless, and you don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
Speaking of markup, so I assume the module acts at the theming level for producing
Yeah.
HTML.
Yeah,
so
we
does
do
it
it.
just inject, or like how, if you have your own theme, for example, which goes as far as to theming single fields, which I don't do, but you never know. Is the module going to override stuff that you already have? Do you have to do anything?
So yeah, there are a few things you have to take care of. The reason it wasn't possible in Drupal 6 is because the theme templates in Drupal 6 didn't have these placeholders to inject those attributes.
Mm-hmm.
So in Drupal 7, when I worked on that 5 or 6 years ago, we had to go through all the templates in core, make sure that we had those placeholders where we could inject attributes at specific locations in the markup, in the field templates. So like node wrappers and field wrappers, and then sometimes specific fields as well, especially in Drupal 8 with the new ones in core. So if you're a theme developer, you just have to make sure that you take those theme templates from Drupal core and you don't remove those placeholders.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's the key, I guess. And if you write new field formatters, that's when you'd have to go in and know the format. But very few people have to do that, and once it's done, you don't have to touch it again.
Good question.
Yeah, that was a good one. Any other questions or ideas or something you'd like to see done?
Is there anything that combines the schema and the rich snippets?
Well, they're kind of two different things. Schema is the way you publish your data. Rich snippets is what comes out of it when Google displays your page on the search results page. So rich snippet is
It's just what somebody does with what you've entered.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. It's something like this. So yeah, this is the rich snippet. So it's like what you see when you do a search. But that to make that possible, Google had to go to that URL, crawl the HTML, and find the structured data, the schema.org data in there in HTML to understand that there were 3 events or more, but it's only displaying three top events. More, lots of events, a date for each event, different date for each event, and the title of the event.
Google generates it from the schema.org data.
Exactly. Google generates the rich snippet from the schema.org data it finds on your site. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, Leslie.
You mentioned commerce as the schema.org integrated.
Yeah, it's like an add-on module.
Right. How many architecture modules have adopted the schema.org?
Well, first of all, not every contrib module is affected. Like some modules deal with like content moderation or admin UIs. Those don't really care about schema.org.
Or the ones that create the content types themselves.
So the ones that are concerned by schema.org are the field formatters, like field modules like address field or 5-star rating. So the schema.org module has a plugin for address field and 5 stars, and I worked on those because those were like the most popular ones. There are other ones that don't have integration yet. Like one of them is opening hours for a store, so that's a bit more specific. But so that's one of the modules I wish I had time to work on.
Just a name field?
Name field?
Module? Yeah.
What is that?
Gives you all possible pieces of a name.
Just
Is it a
names.
real name
Yeah.
module for users?
No, it's not a real name. It's a name
If
field.
one of your
Just name like
content
that?
types uses name, it'll have a prefix and a suffix and a generational and a middle and a.
Oh,
choose the
this one,
piece that
right?
you
Yeah,
want.
and it's very
Oh, it's to build a name
rich
from different fields?
Markup. It's, a name is a very
So this is like
complex.
people's name, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, this one does. Maybe it has. I don't know. I haven't worked on it, but presumably it would be pretty easy to do it because in the end it's just a string, right? Like the output is just a string.
Yeah,
It
it's
takes
marked up a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. But there is actually. Yeah, all of.
It's a handy.
I'd have to. Yeah, you'd have to go through the list. There's like. I forget what it's called. But things like for junior and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honorific prefix and honorific suffix.
There you go.
There,
Yeah.
There is.
So yeah, MD and PhD and all that. So yeah, you could definitely do that. Michelle?
Do the views templates in the default ones have that
So-
placeholder to bring in the
Yeah,
text?
so there are modules that pose challenges like
Semantic views.
panels. Yeah, I mean some modules like to redo the markup themselves. So views also in some cases doesn't use the regular field rendering pipeline. So that's also harder to deal with. So yeah, there are cases where views won't let those markup go through.
You create
but-
your own custom templates and know it's a
Yeah,
type
you could.
of-
Yeah, you could do that. Or what you could do is you not use a view of type fields, but instead use view modes.
Excellent idea. That's way easier.
So that if you do that, then it should work. So because it's very similar to like a regular node.
Right.
Yep.
Can you tell how this would affect the other search tools like images, audio, and shopping and things like that on Google?
So shopping would, if you have the price, it would help. Images, I don't see how it would help images or it would affect.
It could have geographic location.
Yeah,
or-
it could. Yeah, it pays where the image. Yeah, it's like not for the image itself, but like for other stuff on the page.
Yeah, all the XF data maybe, or.
Yeah, possibly. And the videos, I mean, there are ways to, again, schema.org has a lot of it. If you go to, I think it's called schema full list of types. So this is the full list of types, and you can go to search video. So you can do video object, and then here you have all the properties you could have for a video object. So like caption. And
It's amazingly complete.
it has a lot in it, yeah. So like the thumbnail, that could possibly be displayed in search results.
Transcript makes sense. Yeah,
But,
yeah, it's amazing.
the embed URL.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, this is not finished, but there's already some stuff you can do with search engines, and there's more to come. So maybe hopefully like a year, maybe I can come back and tell you about that.
If you're not a developer, you're using, let's say, that name module, and you would like it to be able to integrate with all the schema, do you recommend going to the name module owner and pulling resources that way, or talking to someone else who's done schema integration and trying to get them to help you? Like, where's the best place to go to have someone sponsor it?
To sponsor it?
Yeah, like, or not sponsor it, to be the lead if you're going to sponsor, financially the development. Like, who's got the best information?
I mean, you could, first of all, you could create an issue in the module itself, just start discussion somewhere. And then you could contact someone who could help, like myself or someone else, to comment in that, a comment in the issue. And
Yeah, people
maybe
who are
give
trapped
some,
in making it.
right, give some advice, or in the case of 5-star and address field, I managed to inject attributes in the right places without having to patch the module itself. I was just lucky that I found a way to alter the output. And so I wrote the code in a separate, like in the schema.org module for those modules. So, but presumably in other cases you could just write a patch for the module, it might be easier. Yeah, I think I was just lucky for 5-star and address field. There was a way to alter the output. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
It's kind of cool to think we're at the beginning stages of everything being that much, maybe just getting used to how accessible and
Yeah.
how much information is out there. But this is really a big jump.
There's a lot more to do, but yeah, it's starting to get interesting already.
It makes you appreciate all the work behind the scenes that you just kind of take for granted. It works or it doesn't work, but someone's got to do a lot of it to make it work.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Yeah, me and other people as well.
It's fun.
See you guys all next month. Welcome to Drupal Night, sponsored by BioRAFT. Tonight we have Stéphane Corlosquet, known as Score on Drupal.org, and he will be talking about how to use schema.org in order to improve your SEO. Take it away.
All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming. So tonight I was speaking of schema.org and SEO. First of all, how many of you have heard of schema.org and possibly heard me or someone else speak about it? So maybe half the room is new to it.